Imagine waking up one day, taking a deep breath and realizing something is terribly wrong. The air feels thin, your chest tightens, and every breath feels like a struggle. What if Earth's oxygen levels suddenly dropped to just 10%? Our atmosphere holds 21% oxygen, perfectly balanced for life. But what if this essential gas was cut by more than half? Hold on tight, this is going to be a breathtaking journey. Before we jump into a 10% oxygen world, let's understand why oxygen is important. Oxygen makes up 21% of our atmosphere. Plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Animals breathe in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Imagine Earth's oxygen drops from 21% to 10%. What would happen to us? The effects would be felt almost instantly. At 10% oxygen, the air becomes incredibly thin. Breathing would become difficult, like being at the top of a tall mountain. Most people would experience shortness of breath, confusion, and dizziness. Living with just 10% oxygen would drastically change how we live. We would need to adapt to survive. Oxygen tanks or pressurized environments might be necessary. Breathing masks could become essential outdoors. It would feel like living on another planet. Humans wouldn't be the only ones struggling. All aerobic animals, those that rely on oxygen to survive, would be at risk. A sudden drop to 10% would wreak havoc on their bodies. Birds might survive longer at lower oxygen levels than mammals, but eventually they too would succumb. Larger mammals, especially those with high metabolic rates, would struggle the most. Marine life would also be severely impacted. A decrease in atmospheric oxygen would lead to a drop in dissolved oxygen in water bodies. The entire food chain would be disrupted and ecosystems would collapse. You might be thinking, but plants produce oxygen, right? Won't they save us? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. Plants do produce oxygen, but they also need it to survive. At night, they consume oxygen to convert stored sugars into energy. With only 10% oxygen, plants would struggle to maintain this balance. Most terrestrial plants would be at risk. The environmental consequences of a dramatic oxygen reduction would be catastrophic. Wildfires would become rare or impossible since fires need oxygen to burn. Wildfires are a natural part of many ecosystems, maintaining ecological balance. Without them, forests could become overgrown, creating new challenges. Weather patterns might change. Oxygen regulates atmospheric pressure and temperature. Reduced oxygen could shift climate patterns, leading to extreme weather events. With oxygen levels halved, society would face unprecedented challenges. Entire industries would collapse. Aviation would be one of the first to go. Planes rely on pressurized cabins to keep passengers breathing. Energy production, particularly in industries that rely on combustion, would be severely impacted. With industries collapsing, economies would spiral into recession. Food production would also be affected, leading to massive shortages and civil unrest. Could humanity survive a world with only 10% oxygen? Technically yes, but at an enormous cost. We'd need artificial oxygen supplies and pressurized habitats. Advanced medical technologies could help manage the crisis, but quality of life would decline. We'd live in sealed environments like astronauts. Cities might become networks of oxygenated domes. Sealed transportation systems would be essential. This adaptation requires massive resources, leaving poorer regions disadvantaged. Survival would be a privilege of the wealthy, creating deep societal divides and global inequality. Earth's oxygen levels are delicately balanced, and even a slight change can have devastating consequences. A reduction to 10% oxygen would bring mass extinction and change the way we live forever. It's a stark reminder of our dependence on this essential gas, so next time you take a deep breath, remember how precious oxygen is.